All right. Hello, welcome. I'm Dora. I'm a holistic stress and resilience coach from Dora Chan Yoga, and I'm passionate about educating and empowering women and mothers to remove the veil of fear, insecurity, and limiting beliefs so that they can uncover and reconnect with the beautiful, authentic, and powerful goddesses that they truly are. So, welcome to my Tuesday Weekly Connect, where we talk about various topics on how to achieve whole person wellness in body, mind, and soul. So, today I'm trying something new. I'm actually live on two platforms right now. So, I'm live on Instagram and Facebook Live. And so, if you see me kind of looking up or looking down, it's because I'm looking at the different cameras. So, hopefully, that's not going to be too distracting for you. And let's see how this goes today. So, today I want to talk about the importance of the intention behind the change. So, for instance, how many of us can think of a situation where that we're currently in that we're not quite happy with, not quite satisfied with? So you might, maybe there's an image or a situation that comes to mind right now for you. Now, when you are in this situation, do you focus on the things that you perceive are the problems in your life or in your situation, and then formulate a plan or have an outcome in your mind of what needs to happen in order for you to feel that this problem is fixed or resolved? And then when that happens, then you can truly be happy or content or satisfied. Can you relate to this? Now, this is how most people's minds work. We have been conditioned to think of our suffering as problems external to us. And as long as we have control or we're able to fix or change this, then we're happy. But let me ask you, how has this worked out for you so far? If you have been on this cycle of suffering and then trying to fix or do or strive and then back to suffering, then you would likely know that this strategy doesn't work, at least not in the long run. So, the notion of being able to fix or change or control your external environment in order to gain internal satisfaction, even if you manage to achieve whatever you had set out to achieve, this is never long lasting. Meaning that the joy or satisfaction that you feel would only be temporary. And then you'll be thrown back into the cycle of suffering, fixing, doing, striving, and it all happens again. Now, there are many conversations that we can have around this topic, around why this happens. But today I want to focus on one aspect, and that is the intention behind change. So, part of the suffering that we feel is due to our perception that something is wrong. So that feeling comes up inside of us, and unfortunately, when that feeling comes up, whether it's conscious or unconscious to us, I think mostly it's unconscious to us, we kind of bring this feeling and translate this in our minds as though something is wrong with us and that we need to fix it. And along with this thinking come self-judgment, criticism, negative self-talk, jealousy or envy for others. We may also feel guilt, self-blame, self-loathing. We also feel fear, anxiety, scarcity, lack, unworthiness, and so on. So these feelings are uncomfortable, right? And we experience them as suffering. And instinctively, we want to move away from discomfort and suffering. So we desire to come out of suffering, and we use this as motivation for change, whether you know this or not. This is usually the motivation for change, is fear and insecurity. However, it is never a great idea to use fear and insecurity as your fuel for change or your intention for change. Because an intention based in fear will actually cause you to be less productive, less creative, less able to recognize and or seize opportunities, and ultimately it leads you back to more fear. When you are living in the state of constant fear, you will find that it's very difficult to experience contentment, satisfaction, or joy, whether you achieve your goal or not. Now, we could set exactly the same goal, but instead of operating from a place of fear and insecurity, we can come from a place of love and compassion. And when we do this, we would execute this goal in a completely different way. And we'll be much more likely to feel true contentment and satisfaction that is independent of the actual outcome. Because when we are operating from a place of love and compassion, we can actually discern our self-worth, our wholeness from our perceived trouble situation. Meaning, when we feel that something is wrong, we're much more able to see things as they are. It doesn't automatically translate to something is wrong with me, and we won't take every conflict so personally. We'll be less affected by others' opinions of us, and we can see things from a wider perspective, which leads to the ability for us to take in new information. There is room for insight. And we are much more likely to find the appropriate action to move forward in a constructive and healthy way. When we are acting from a place of self-love and compassion, instead of fear of what others might think of us, we care less about what other people want for us or want of us or want from us, and we learn to prioritize what is important to us. And this means that we focus more energy into doing the things that actually make us happy, rather than doing things in fear of making other people unhappy. This alone brings so much more joy and less suffering in our lives. Now, lastly, when we are coming from a place of love and compassion, the feeling of joy does not depend on any outcome or any external circumstance. And you will learn to understand that joy can come to you at any moment, independent of your external environment. You don't need to wait to reach your end goal to feel joy, which is very different from acting from a place of fear, where you can still be insecure and fearful even if you achieve your goal. Because now, there is fear of losing what you've gained. There is a fear or insecurity around how to maintain what you have. And because the real inner void can't truly be filled by external actions, at the end of the process, we're still feeling as though something is not quite right. We're still feeling a sense of suffering. But unfortunately, for most of us, we don't understand the underlying root suffering. And so instead of looking inward to address what the real issue is, we continue to focus our energy externally to, again, do more, strive more. And we keep missing the point. And here we find ourselves then once again bound in the cycle of perpetual suffering. So what do? Well, there are many things we can do, and everyone is different, and there are so many different holistic modalities and practices out there, which is amazing because we have all the different opportunities to find something that works for us. But if I can give you maybe a couple of tips for today to try out, I would say start by cultivating a practice for yourself to check in with yourself every day. And this means finding a moment in your day, and this could even be a few minutes. I'm not talking about, long practices here. A few minutes or even, less than a minute, whatever you think you have time for to get this practice going. Find a moment for yourself where you won't be disturbed and allow yourself this time to connect with yourself. And what do I mean by that? Well, there are many ways to connect with yourself, but if you are brand new, it may just be about taking time to take a few deep breaths, but be really, really present when you do this. You know, taking your time with your breath, not rushing to go anywhere, and take this sort of practice. So if it's a breathing practice, so if you say, I'm going to commit to breathing 3 to 5 deep breaths really intentionally, really with presence, then breathe. So that's the only thing that's important to you in that moment. Take your time to feel your breath. What does the inhale feel like? What does the exhale feel like? What is the temperature, the texture, the quality of your breath? What is the rhythm of your breath? How do you feel as you take time to just focus on the breath? Another thing that you could do to check in with yourself is literally ask yourself, how am I doing? How am I feeling in this moment? But instead of going into the storytelling, like, oh, I'm feeling nervous because I have this project deadline that's coming up and blah, 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 and, takes you away. So instead of doing that, focus really on how you are feeling in your body in that moment. So let go of any stories that you might have. Focus, how am I feeling? And at first, it may be hard to describe these feelings if you're new to body sensations. Maybe you don't feel anything at all if you've been if this is not a practice that you do normally. That's okay. Still, you can ask that question, take your time, feel into it, and notice, well, what's coming up, what's showing up in my body in this moment. Maybe there's tightness, maybe there's contraction somewhere. Is this in my belly? Do I feel this in my heart or in my throat or anywhere else in the body? Do I feel a sense of heaviness or lightness? Do I feel tingling? These are some examples of descriptive words that might come up. And then maybe it's just no, or in that moment it's like I'm actually not noticing anything that's coming up. That's okay too. In that moment you are still being present with your self and tapping into sensations in the body. So start with, you can also go with that and check in with how you're feeling. Another thing that is very nice to do, and I teach this as the foundations to all my clients, is something called the inner resource. And this is an inner space or sanctuary or safe haven that's within yourself where you feel peace and security. And a lot of the times it's helpful to think of maybe an image or a visualization of a place. It could be an imaginary place, it could be a real place, it could be a memory, it could be a person, a group of people, or animal, or pets, or objects, whatever it is, that when you think of it or when you bring this to mind, that you can feel a sense of safety, maybe groundedness, a sense of calmness or peace or ease. And once you're there, again, instead of continuing with the imagery and the storytelling, come back to how you feel in your body. How do you feel peace? How do you feel safety? How do these emotions show up in your body? Again, so always coming back into that body sensation. So these practices can be short. It is more important that you do them regularly and consistently. Over time, you're going to find this practice easy and enjoyable, that you want to do this practice. And when you feel more and more connected with yourself, from there, self love and acceptance can grow. Now, if you're interested in learning more about this topic or if you'd like some support, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to jump on a call with you to help point you in the right direction, see where you're at. And if you enjoyed this mini training, make sure that you follow me at Dora Chan Yoga. I also have a Facebook group, a private Facebook group called DCY, which stands for Dora Chan Yoga. So, DCY community, supporting strong women, heal from stress holistically. And in that private Facebook group, I stream these live trainings. But also, I share many resources, tips, and tools, and special offers in that group. So if you're not in that group already, I'll drop in the link in the comments so you can join. I'd love to have you there. Um, Otherwise, let me know what your biggest takeaway is. Drop your comments below, and I look forward to seeing you all again next Tuesday. Have a great one. Take care. Bye now.